Welcome back to The New Mechanic. My name's Randy, and this is my E46. Today, we're doing a zero-nonsense tutorial on how to change the spark plugs. This tutorial should work with any E46 with an M54 engine, whether it's the 330 or the 325. It may be very similar for any Z4s that have the M54 engine as well, but you may want to look up some more information for that. So, let's go ahead and get started. So here's the general process. We have to get this plastic panel off in order to get access to everything that we need. That's where the coil packs are, and then underneath the coil packs are the spark plugs. Problem with that is we got to get this off, and in order to get both of these off, we have to take this off. It's really not very complicated, so let's go ahead and get started. First thing you got to do is go ahead and take off these clips. That way you can move the power cable down below. There we go. Straightforward. Next up, you have three little doohickeys, as I like to call them, that you just spin. They pop up. It's about a half spin. And then the air filter comes out. This is the microfilter, I believe, for the cabin. You set it aside so you don't lose it. Next up, you need a T30. There are 4 torque screws in here. All right, so you should be able to just peel this straight up and out. Great. All right, next up, we have to go ahead and take out 4 bolts. There's 2 back here and the 2 up in the front. The 2 in the back, I lost the little caps, but the 2 in the front have the caps. So you'll just want to use a little flathead screwdriver, and they pop right off. Go ahead and set these aside so you don't lose them. And if you've worked on a BMW for more than 2 minutes, you'll know that you need your trusty 10mm. I also recommend using a magnet. You can pull them out easily without risking dropping them. And just to note, the 2 on this side are actually nuts, and the 2 on the right side are bolts. Now we can go ahead and remove the oil cap. And both of these panels should come right off. There we go. Now just to be safe, I'm gonna put the oil cap back on just so we don't get debris inside the engine. Go ahead and set these aside. They're hard to lose, but somehow people still lose them. All right, I've switched you to the other side. You are now on the passenger side of the engine bay. What we got to do over here is basically work on getting each of these out. There's 6 of them because it's a 6-cylinder engine, and there's quite a few different bolts in here, but it's really not too complicated. So what we need to do is get each of the bolts. We got to get each of these clips. And then on the right side over here, there is another grounding wire, and on the back side, there's also another grounding wire over there. Unsurprisingly, all these other bolts are 10mm, so I'll start with the 2 grounding ones on either end. All right, to get all these clips, you actually just pull up on them. Might have actually been easier if they were all still screwed in, but that's okay. All right, and then they actually just pop off. All right, so we're gonna take each one of these out. Just make sure that you keep them in the same location. So if you put them up here, that's fine, but just know the order they were in and make sure that they go back in the same order. If you have any oil on the bottom of these coil packs, it means that your valve cover gasket is leaking, and you'll want to replace that at some point. I'll put a link in the description below for the valve cover gasket. It's really not that bad of a job. We're actually like halfway there, but we're not going to continue it. All right, now we're going to go ahead and pull the spark plugs out. You will need a 5/8 inch socket. Make sure it's a deep socket. You might even be able to get a spark plug socket that's meant for this, and it usually comes with a rubber gasket inside that helps keep it in there. So let's get it down there. All right, once you get them all, you can go ahead and just use this magnet and slide it straight down in, and you'll pull it right out. Nice. Those look pretty bad. All right, we got all the spark plugs out. Now all we have to do is put new ones in, torque them to spec, and get everything else back together. Also, if it looks like I'm sweating a lot, it's because I am, and it's really stupid hot and humid here. All right, back to the car. All right, now we can go ahead and put the new spark plugs in. What I like to do is, instead of dropping them in, because you don't want to risk changing that spark gap in there, use a magnet, just stick them in there. You can kind of drop it in because it's not going to fall, and then just use a flathead screwdriver to pin it, and then you can pull it right out. So now the spark plug is in there, and you didn't risk damaging the spark gap. All right. Next up, go ahead and just put them in by hand. You don't want to cross the threads here, so that's why you want to start them by hand at the very least. Next up, you want to torque these to 22 foot-pounds. After that, we can go ahead and put the coil packs back in. We'll go ahead and put all the bolts back in. All right, now we should be good to go to put these back on, and then getting the microfilter back on, and should be done then. Remember, oil cap off, get it into place, oil cap back on. Then this one, there's two little clips right here, kind of, that you just kind of push into here. There we go, and then we just got to put the two bolts into here, and then the two nuts. Now we go ahead and put the air filter housing back on. Kind of wiggle it into place. Sometimes these things come off, and it might even be easier for you if you just took this off from the get-go. It's up to you. And yeah, there we go. It's nicely seated. Okay, and then at this point, it's super simple. You put the filter back in. It's not hard to figure out which way it goes. There's a little tab there, and there's tabs on the bottom. So that just sits in there like that. Put this on top, push it down just a little bit. You turn these little doohickeys again, the thingamabobs. There's 3 of them. Last thing we have to do now is put these up. And then put the cover on it. Boom. Whoop. Wait. There we go. And it's done. All the tools and the spark plugs that I used will be in links in the description below. There'll be affiliate links, which will actually help my channel if you purchase those products. So if you want to support the channel and you need those products, go ahead and buy them. Get the tools that you need and the spark plugs that you need for this job, and it would help me as well. So every dime that I get from that will go straight back into this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you learned something. Hope this was useful. If there was something that I could have done slightly better or slightly easier or slightly faster, let me know. I'm always open to learning. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.